My family abandoned the affair baby.
Well, that's a bad look. What?
Hi, I'm 23 male, and this week, my entire life changed. 3 days ago, my grandfather passed away. He was 78. He had 2 kids, my mom and my uncle. I'm the youngest in our family, or at least I thought I was. By the way, this comes from Safe Gazelle 5274. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So during the wake, a huge bomb dropped on all of us. It turns out my grandfather had a 4-year-old daughter with a cleaning lady who used to help him around the house. The woman is gone and no one knows where she went. The girl's name is Lenka, and she's tiny, quiet, and completely alone. And everyone in my family hates her.
Oh, no, not Lenka.
At the funeral, nobody would even look at her. I saw her curled up in the corner of the room like she was trying to disappear. And the only conversation anyone had was who's not going to take her. They all agreed that she should be sent to an orphanage. I don't know what happened to me at that moment, but I snapped. I walked over to her, knelt down, smiled, and asked, "Would you like to live with me?" She didn't say anything. Just slowly nodded, and that was it. That night, Lenka came home with me. She had been staying with my cousin for a few days, and Nika handed me her health card and basically said, "Good luck. I'm a 23-year-old guy living alone in a small apartment in eastern Slovakia. I work from home. I pay rent. I'm not rich. I've never raised a child. I'm still an external university student. I go to school on weekends, but she came with me, and she's been here since." That night, she didn't say a word on the car ride. I showed her my apartment, gave her food. She barely reacted. Later that night, while I was trying to sleep, I broke. It was 2 a.m., and I was crying like I haven't cried in years. I kept thinking, what the heck am I doing? How can I raise a child when I'm just a kid myself? My family won't help. Everyone will judge me. She's not even technically my niece. She's my aunt. Yeah, that part's wild. She's my mom's half sister, which makes her my aunt. But she's 4. I couldn't sleep at all that night. Around 3 a.m., we had a little accident. She wet the bed. She didn't cry. She just tried to hide the blanket like she didn't want me to find out. My heart cracked in half. I told her everything's okay and helped her clean up. In the morning, I explained that we needed to go shopping for her things. We walked to the store only 5 minutes away, but it took us 15. She was trying to be independent and didn't want to hold my hand. But on the way back, she was so tired she almost collapsed on the sidewalk. I asked if I could carry her. She said no at first, but after a few more steps, I picked her up anyway. She looked annoyed, but didn't resist. We made it home. I made her breakfast. Thank you to the friend who gave me ideas. Then told her we had to go to some offices so I could become her guardian. I thought I'd just drop off the papers. Instead, the whole process started immediately. It was chaos. I brought every document I had, my ID, death certificate, her health card, a letter I wrote asking for emergency temporary custody. But when I got to the child services office, one woman tore me apart. She was cold and cruel and basically called me a stupid boy to my face. "You're just a kid. You can't raise another kid. You don't even have rights to her. She's better off with her mother." And she said all of this in front of Lenka, who was sitting quietly in my lap. I looked down and saw tears running down her face. At first, I didn't even notice. I just felt her little body trembling. Oh my God. She was crying silently. I gently apologized to the woman, stood up, and said we'd come back later. I took Lenka outside and walked her to a little ice cream shop nearby. We sat together in silence. I explained that we'd have to go back and talk to the mean lady, but I promised that I would stay with her the whole time. She nodded. Back inside, the woman didn't get any nicer, but she did explain what would happen next. Basically, exactly what I had read online. Social workers will visit us. They'll try to contact her mother. If they find her, she may get legal priority, but I'm going to fight this because if that woman abandoned Lenka once, she'll do it again, and I won't let that happen. Now it's late again. I'm completely drained, and I need to say this somewhere. I love this kid. I've known her for 3 days and I would do anything to protect her, but I'm falling apart inside. I work from home, which is the only reason this is even possible. But on weekends, I go to university and I'll probably have to give that up. There's no babysitting culture here in Slovakia, especially not in a small town like ours. I'm selling my motorcycle, so I'll have more money for her. I'm terrified I'll never have a girlfriend because what 23-year-old wants a boyfriend with a 4-year-old? I feel like I traded everything I used to be for someone who deserves a better life, and I don't regret it. But I'm scared and tired. Trying not to break. I don't even know why I'm posting this. I just needed to let it out. If you read all this, thank you, really. And if anyone's been through something similar, any advice would mean the world. And there are some comments, but do you have any before we move on to those? Have you been in a similar situation?
Yeah, this is totally right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, grandpas, they got a lot of time on their hands.
I don't know anything about what the Slovakian government would provide for you.
Right.
It seems like their system kind of is based on it arbitrary. It's her mom, so she'll probably just abandon the kid again.
Yeah, I don't have any advice because I don't know.
Become some sort of, traveling band You and Lenka,
There
you
you
can
go.
be like, the percussion, and then she can be like on your shoulders playing like a flute of some kind,
Sure.
maybe.
Yeah, give her the complicated one.
Become internet famous,
Sure.
and then, now you're trillionaires.
Tina Marie 1018 says, I don't have any advice, but as someone who grew up unwanted, I do want to tell you thank you for taking her in and wanting to fight for her. It means so much more than you will ever know. OP says, thank you. I needed this. EVB666 says, you are a good person and I'm rooting for you. OP says, thanks. Any advice? They say, firstly, document everything. Don't let the horrible social worker get to you. You're a hero to little Lenka right now. Seek out some parenting forums, single dad groups, or even local churches and community centers that may have resources that can offer support. Children thrive on predictability, so having some semblance of a routine will help you both. Make sure that includes a little breathing space for yourself. Lenka's trauma won't vanish overnight, and patience is everything. You are already taking small steps of trust. You don't have to be perfect. Just keep showing up for her. You learn as you go and are more than enough right now. I'm sure your grandfather will be looking over you. Rainbow Bright says, when someone says document everything, it does mean as literal much as you can. In the beginning, take a full body clothed picture of her every month. Stick it in a binder with a piece of paper where you write out her height and weight. Write notes like what she likes to eat and watch and play and what books you're reading to her. This serves two purposes. You can prove that she's healthy, growing, and cared for. You can also prove that you are caring for her and know things about her. It also gives you a regular current photo in case mom tries to show up and yoink her. It may sound tedious or annoying, but it will be so worthwhile one day when she grows up and you can show her what she was like as a little person. Nanny65 says, you will never be sorry that you stood up for her. I don't know anything about what you need to do to get formal custody of her, but I guess a lawyer would be useful. Aside from custody, surely she would be entitled to your grandfather's estate. Good luck to you, OP. I'm sending the two of you hugs. OP says, I can't afford a lawyer, but I will fight. Thank you. Quick Store says, I don't know laws in your country, but your grandfather has an estate and she should be entitled to something as his child. That will help offset raising her. Not sure what death benefits look like for children with deceased parents that still need support. Look into those options as well. OP says, the entire land and house were already decided and divided between my mom and uncle about 10 years ago. That's what the will says. If I wanted to fight this proposal, I would have to hire a lawyer. At least Grandpa left me a field and some plots of forest land. And there is an update. Lenka is doing well. She finally started smiling.
Yay! Lenka smile!
Yay! I introduced her to my neighbor, an older lady who never had children. She looked after Lenka while I went to get her toys from her grandfather's house. She also has a dog, and Lenka just can't stop playing with it. One night, Lenka found me crying. She sleeps in my bed, and I've taken the couch. I guess she must have heard me. Came to me and asked if I was crying because of her. Of course, I said no. And when she hugged me, my heart shattered into a million pieces. I will protect that child. She's mine and I'll do anything for her. By the way, I will do anything for you, which includes posting full episodes of more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. We have some comments. Filia Liliana says, OP, you are a wonderful person, and I'm sure there will be lots of women who would want a man with a heart like yours. What you do for that kid is selfless and kind and good, and she will be forever grateful for the one person who stood by her when all the others failed. I'm not sure whether it is affordable to get her into therapy, but I strongly suggest it for the both of you. I wish you all the best. OP says, yes, I'm planning to take her to a therapist. In Slovakia, if you pay for health insurance, it's free. I'm paying for her health insurance, and I also get paid extra for various injuries and so on. Not trying to make waves says, hi, OP. Some small advice. You're doing amazing, and I admire your humanity and resolve. Childcare is tiring through in body and soul, and it would be easy to slide into a world of putting Lenka first and only Lenka. This will burn you out. There will be times where it's in her best interest to come second and put yourself first. You're sleeping on the sofa. You need to work out a way of getting a proper sofa bed. It doesn't have to be new, and you can sometimes pick them up for cheap or even free in local groups. You have to make sure that you're sleeping well, because if you're not, then it will affect your mood, your health, and your parenting relationship with Lenka. Socializing. Being a single parent will mean that you almost never go out and run the risk of getting cut off socially. Look at something like D&D, which can be played online through Discord or Roll20. which will give you access to adult conversation. Take the opportunity if she's invited to a sleepover to go out and see friends, even if you think you could just sleep for 1,000 years. Your mental health is important. OP says, thank you for the advice. My friend offered to sell me his son's bed, so I should be back in my own bed in a few days. At least I hope so. And oh God, I didn't even think about that. Since she has been with me, I haven't gone out with my friends even once. I really need to look into that. Thank you. And Aliana Oxenfree says, take her with you to meet your friends and hang out. As a single parent, I brought my kid everywhere and she was just my little sidekick and I got to socialize and she got to socialize and it was helpful to both of our growth. OP says, yes, I will probably do that. I belong to a motorcycle club, or at least I used to, but I sold my motorcycle, but everyone in the club is incredibly kind. I'll take her bowling with us. And that is the end of that story. Wow.
Everyone clap.
Woohoo!
W.
What
We
amazing
did not
advice.
abandon an affair, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yay. His aunt. He can't abandon his aunt.
And now Lenka's going to be a professional bowler.
Oh, yeah. And
Lenka's
that's-
going bowling.
She's going pro. That's how they're going to make the money.
My father has a secret family that he hid from us.
Secret family. Secret family.
The first 10 years of my parents' marriage were pretty normal as far as I could see. In 2005, my father tried to break up in a kind of midlife crisis once. My mother guilt-tripped him into staying, and he did under the agreement that he could go on solo holidays every once in a while. By the way, this comes from user Jib Mercafee. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So to sum up the following 10 years, Dad worked overtime a lot, and we had our problems with money regardless. It was weird and maybe obvious, but I didn't really notice back then. Fast forward to September 2015, my father told me that he wanted to break up, but this time for real. He told me a week before he told my mom. I was still living at home, and this week was a nightmare for me. A big part of me as a person consists of being absolutely open and honest about everything, especially to the people I trust. My mom always was a person I trusted, and much like a last straw if something in my life really went down a rabbit hole. And this would have been a moment I really needed her. But my dad blocked that option for me as he wanted to tell it to her himself. Every single time I saw my mom in this week, I felt incredibly bad for her that I knew and she didn't. A week later, he told her and she broke down. Dad was the love of her life and still is, that is until today, and he broke her heart. She was very understanding and let him go. And they agreed about not divorcing for tax reasons. They not only agreed on that, but also him still doing repairs on the house on a weekly basis and letting her live in the house without any cost while he moved out. Mom got in a fragile state of mind since then. 2 weeks post-breakup, I nearly passed away all of a sudden. Mom's world broke down again. Thank God I recovered, but it was a really slow process and my mom was in permanent worry about me. In this time, my dad introduced me to his girlfriend, Sarah, 42 female. He invited me into her apartment that he moved into with her, and she was wasted in the middle of the day and smoked a lot, which was really a off-putting thing for me. Trying to recover my lungs didn't make it better. November 2015, I nearly passed away to the same thing for the second time with doctors calling out my parents.
Oh my gosh.
They said they should come to the hospital because we weren't sure if I would survive the night. Mom got into a huge argument with my dad because he didn't come over. I never forgave him that he wasn't there. Maybe not for my morphine-pumped self, but at least for my mom having the worst night of her life. I began to recover slowly, and my mom was in a super fragile state, crying a lot and reaching out to me to talk about the breakup because she didn't want to tell her friends. I had enough to do with handling the breakup of my parents and my near-death experiences, so I couldn't bear my mom's pain as well, as badly as I wanted to help her. Dad saw the situation from the outside and offered me to move out and pay for my rent. I took the chance and moved closer to my university and loved the feeling of finally standing on my own 2 feet. My mom hates to be alone with all the memories in our family house, but with time passing by, I slowly have the feeling she has coped with it, as my dad and I visit her regularly. He broke up with his girlfriend Sarah by that time because they got in an argument about her being wasted and breaking his coffee machine. April 2016. My dad introduced me to his girlfriend of today, Rachel, 56 female, and her family. Her 3 kids are around my age, and I really like those people. I love to see my father happy with her. I know mom doesn't know about her, but we didn't want to pull mom out of her own world due to her fragile state, and I think it's better this way. Fast forward to last weekend and the huge plot twist. My boyfriend, 24 male, and I were invited over to Rachel's birthday. Everything was fine and we had a good time. And all of a sudden, Rachel pulled out an album of photographs of a family vacation in 2008. The album contained photos of my dad on a family vacation with another woman, with another family 10 years ago. I had a hard time coping with the situation and not breaking out into tears of desperation in front of everybody. The man I respected so much for always working so hard wasn't working overtime. He was with another family. It just feels like the last 10 years with my family were a complete lie. And you don't go on a family vacation if you just got together. My guess is they got together when my dad tried to break up for the first time, just with the small difference that he stayed and pretended that everything was fine. He led a whole double life with a second family. The man I respect the most in my life for what he is and is not only cheated, which is a huge no-go for me, but much worse, he constantly lied about pretty much everything. Where he goes, why we don't have any money, everything. And what about the former girlfriend, Sarah? Did he cheat with her on Rachel? How much does she know? Does she know my mom doesn't know? I don't have the courage yet to talk to my dad about this and ask questions. There are so many questions in my head, and I even messed up my recent exams because of this. I feel so incredibly bad for my mom, and the worst thing is that I can't tell her. At first, this is absolutely not my job to tell her. Sure, but I feel so horribly guilty for knowing this while she doesn't know. Or does she know, and she just never told me? I have no idea. If it hit me already that hard, how bad would it be for her? For me, it was a childhood. For her, a 20-year marriage. Don't even know how to feel about this. It would be so much easier if I didn't love both my mom and my dad and his second family as well. The worst part for me, and this does sound selfish, is that I'm not able to talk with the person that always helped and was there for me when everything went down the hole, because it would probably hurt her, my mom, even more than me. My gut feeling says I need to distance myself from my family, but I'm not sure if that will help. I don't know how to deal with the whole situation. Advice? And we have some comments. I mean, do we have any more advice between the three of us, folks?
I get why she feels like she can't talk to her just because she doesn't want to be like stepping on a turn or something like that, or like deal with some like sort of relationship issues that she's not technically a part of. And she also just doesn't want to hurt the mom.
Comment number 1, you need to speak with a therapist like yesterday. Is this an option for you at all? It's hard to process and accept that parents are just humans after all. Finding out the flaws of our parents can be so difficult. And this one, well, it's a doozy. Showing you the photo album was insensitive. They should have never brought you into that situation without preparing for the very likely outcome that you'd find out. Your mom needs professional help as well. It's good of you to want to support her and love her, but you're her daughter and you cannot be responsible for how she processes this. Everyone needs counseling here. Mom, dad, you, any other kids involved. Everyone, I'm so sorry you are in this situation. I can't even fathom the kind of deception and heartache. OP says, I'm really considering speaking with a therapist, but this can have a lot of bad consequences in my country. For example, it does affect your credit score, and insurances are really bad. I need to do more research about that, but I really like to build a future with a home with my boyfriend, so bad credit score would be a huge problem. I think about it more in the terms that it's been affecting everyone for such a long time, and it's been affecting me so badly that I don't want to let it destroy my future as well. And regarding this, I'm not sure if my mom would be better off knowing it. What I know for sure is that if I get together all of my courage and tell her, I'd look for a therapist for her and make sure she gets professional help. So, most of you guys advised me to tell my mom and get therapy for us both, as well as a divorce for my mom. I tried to follow this idea, but honestly, it didn't feel right to me, and I felt like it's A, not my job to do this, and B, not my right to pop the bubble she lives in. Point B, it's pretty important because my mom tends to live in her own bubble. It's gotten worse since my dad moved out because she can't deny that he's gone. Dad and I decided a long time ago, 10 years or so, that we don't rip her out of her own little world and let her live in denial. Also because arguing with her is pointless. And I do mean pointless. If she has another point than you could talk as well to a wall. Logic doesn't work here. Something I realized about my mom that surprised me as well would be that some days after posting, I stumbled upon a subreddit called Raised by Narcissists. And guess what? I found my mom. The narcissist's prayer, completely absorbing the being a mother personality, even going far enough to make me sick as a child to have a reason she can't go to work and be a full-time mother. But that's another story on its own. Hanging around with the lovely mom of my boyfriend, I realized a lot of what I experienced and knew is not just usual mom behavior, and that my mom is some kind of master guilt tripper. I'm her victim. Basically, my whole life, I felt guilty because I tended to like my dad more than my mom, and I never understood what was going on. But seeing both their behaviors from a third person's perspective was a real eye-opener. I learned that my mom was and is a manipulative and controlling person, and I understood why visiting her is always exhausting, both for my boyfriend and myself. Boyfriend saw and told me what I couldn't see, or I guess what I didn't want to see. And all I thought was, well, she's still my mom, so it's my duty to deal with it. In retrospect, it seems like my dad always wanted to protect me from her. That's still confusing to understand now at 25. Heck, how should I have understood what's going on as a child? What about my dad? You may already have gotten an idea why he led a double life and kept it all secret. He didn't want to leave me alone with my mom. I reached out to him after the birthday party to talk, and he was happy I did. As we sat at the table and talked about it, he was very calm and apologized to me that my feelings were so crushed by this. What's going on? What just happened?
We're finally talking to the dad.
Did dad do a switcheroo, or what's going on here? Now it's mom? It's been mom the whole time? You realized it?
I guess. I can't tell if the dad is like telling her this, but I don't know how else she would find it out. So I'm guessing the dad is telling her about this, and she's kind of, but I mean, if she started to talk to the dad, is like, why'd you do this? And he's like, it's your mom.
So he says he never intended to hurt me, and didn't think it would be a surprise for me at all since I was always a smart kid. And how could one not see that something is wrong with their parents sleeping in separate beds? I told him it's hard to see for a child that doesn't know any better. And he apologized again that he didn't think of that and he felt really bad for me. He also confessed that I'm the person he trusts and loves the most. And that's the reason he wanted me to know and let me be a bigger part of his world. Oh, and an interesting bit of info. Rachel and him have had their 20-year anniversary next year. Oh my God, so many wrong decisions were made here. Regarding the relationship stuff, I really feel sorry for him and am finally able to understand why he always told me to take my time knowing someone before thinking about getting a child. Anecdotal, I was an accident baby. He knew her 2 months before she got pregnant, but she always told him she took birth control. What have I done the last few months? Where am I now? First of all, I didn't tell my mom. At this point, I don't see the sense in telling her. She'll just deny it anyway. I know my mom. I love her despite what she did to me and still does to me, and it doesn't make sense to hurt her with the truth. Deep down, I feel she knows it anyway and has known it all along. I guess an adult does notice that sleeping in separate beds isn't the norm and still denies it. There's no need to rip her out of denial this deep. I did talk about it with other adults, my physician being one of them. He told me that my gut feeling is right, and before I consult a therapist, I should consider taking my time and my distance from it all and see how I feel. He also confirmed that going to a therapist in Germany has consequences for some work fields. He said he has the impression that I sorted through my thoughts well enough to handle this and that I'm not left alone in this. Here's some interesting info. Every person that knew my mom personally advised me to not tell her and that it wouldn't make any sense. I decided that both my parents are adults and old enough to handle their relationship alone. That was a huge one, and honestly, I think this is the point I made my first step into getting over it and distancing myself from this mess. As far as I can see, it helped. I got an apprenticeship in my dream job at a dream company about 220 miles from home. It doesn't sound like a lot, but the physical distance is a huge relief because I'm just not tangible anymore. A nice side effect of all of this is even though that I'm working more hours per week, going from 20 to 35 hours, I started to excel in my studies. At that point, I think it might be about all the distraction and worry that I had at home. Since I've been here, I come home and then I'm able to concentrate on the stuff I have to learn. Then I'll go out for a walk, come home, cook a healthy meal for a boyfriend and me, sleep early. I feel so much better overall. Seeing what it's like to work in my dream job might be a little motivator too. So what helped me all along is distance, mostly the physical distance, since I don't feel bad about it, even if my mom still tries to guilt trip me every other day. But that's the point. I just turn off my phone and enjoy my life and make the best out of it. There's absolutely no reason one should feel bad about taking the chance to work in their dream job in a dream company. And if whoever doesn't respect that or didn't understand that the world doesn't gravitate around them. And most importantly, that your kids are their own persons with their own wishes and goals and shouldn't be pressured into fulfilling wishes and goals that you weren't able to make. By the way, I have a goal, and my goal is that you, yes, you, will listen to every full episode with stories just like this that we have on your favorite podcast platform. No matter what it is, just search OK Storytime, the name of our show. You can listen to over 2,800 episodes. Some final words about my health, since a lot of you were concerned about how I'm doing. What led me to almost passing away was a big chain of unfortunate events, lemony snicket, and mistakes made by medical personnel. Unfortunately, it does affect me to this day and always will because 10% of my lung tissue died in the process, and I have to take lifelong medication to make my blood clot slower to avoid it from happening again. Don't worry, I'm fine. I had my point of no return in March 2017 where I decided I don't want to live the rest of my life depressed in a bed and went my way. Lost 55 pounds, got my skin nice and clear, and changed my overall being. All out of my own free will and with the help of Reddit that I just discovered at that time. Today I learned moving around and building stamina helps a lot if you're lacking a chunk of your lung. So you could say Reddit literally changed my life for the better. But that's, again, another story on its own. Something that I didn't see was discussed. You mentioned a 20-year anniversary, but does the other wife, Rachel, not your mom, know about the girlfriend, Sarah? I'd assume not. If not, I'd assume your dad was on and off with the 20-year anniversary wife, right? OP says, not sure about that. My father mentioned her, the 20-year anniversary girlfriend, to be on the more jealous side. It could be the result of him telling her about Sarah. I didn't talk about Sarah anymore since I also disliked her as a person. I knew her for years and never really liked her. Nothing to do with the relationship stuff. And that is the end of that story.
My stepbrother excluded us from his wedding because we disrespected his fiance.
He Uno reverse carded the disrespect.
For context, I, 21 female, have a stepbrother, 19 male, who I'll call Tristan, that has been dating his girlfriend, 18 female, I'll call her Heather, for about a year now. They met in high school when she was a junior and he was a senior. Throughout their relationship, my family and I have seen red flags from Heather. In the beginning, she seemed nice enough and we had no issues. This is until they were lying to my parents about her giving him rides home from school, hanging out, and, you know, the normal teenage things. By the way, this comes from Commercial Time 7518 from the r/charlottedobreyoutube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, a few months into their relationship, my parents caught them in adult activities in his room with the door open while all of us were home. Of course, arguing and yelling followed this, and she left. This was on top of them lying about being a couple, lying about her driving around and hanging out, him trying to sneak her in the house, and her having what I can only describe as a snobby attitude with my parents. Eventually, my parents banned her from our house, but told them what they do together outside of our house isn't their business. They told me this too when I was with my ex. This is where I figured he would dump her, as that was his usual pattern with his version of dating. Tristan was a very troubled child, to say the least. My stepmom and two stepbrothers moved in with my dad when I was about 10. I lived with my witch of a woman for a mother and her husband. They are a whole nother story on their own at the time, and visited my dad on the weekends. Now, I moved in with my dad and stepmom after I turned 18. In the first 2 years of me living with my family, he had dated at least 4 different girls to my knowledge, and they all ended the same way. He would get some adult action for a few weeks, get caught or bored, and then move on to the next. But for some reason, Heather was different. He won't even hang out with his friends if they're going to a place like a club or bar because Heather won't like it. Personally, as a girlfriend, if I trusted my partner, I wouldn't care. But I know everyone is different for different reasons. Tristan is not one to be walked on, as he has had so many fights with our parents, as he would do things like break into my room. It was so bad my dad put a lock on my door and it still didn't stop him. And steal my gaming console or tablet or sneak my stepmom's old phone or computer when we weren't home or sleeping. This behavior got better as we got older. Tristan was accepted early into the military before he even met Heather and had initially told her he wasn't sure how it would affect their relationship. This led to her screaming and crying about him not being able to promise they would be together forever and that she can't handle a long distance relationship. Surprise, apparently she can, because he has been in the military for over a year now and has been home maybe 4 times. Tristan even broke down crying talking to my dad about the situation with her because he didn't know what to do, and my dad told him that a good relationship should not make him feel this way. Remember when I said she was banned from the house? Well, my parents decided to be nice and let her come over for this past Christmas, as she doesn't care for either of her parents, and my brother had asked since it was Christmas. Well, my dad dad caught them in the act again when he went inside to get them so we could go look at Christmas lights like we do every year. Imagine that. The dad's like, hey guys, do you want to go for the Christmas? Oh my God. Oh, you guys. Like, oh my gosh.
You want to go see some Christmas lights?
Now, to the reason for this post. Tristan called the other night to tell us about his new job and that he is coming back home for a few days next week and wanted to maybe grab lunch or dinner the Thursday that he's here, as he will be getting in late Wednesday night. Our family conversation was normal until he casually mentioned him getting married, to which he actually said that he fricked up by saying it. Since he messed up already, he came clean and told us that him and Heather are getting married a week from this coming Saturday on a boat with her family that she hates and has no good relationships with. He never mentioned us being included in those plans. So my stepmom asked, and the conversation went something like this. What about us?
Well, I want you guys there, but Heather doesn't. She said it would ruin her plans, and she kind of feels disrespected by you guys.
Right. Well, anything to make her happy, I guess. Now, I know I'm on the younger side of this. However, I don't think that banning someone that has no respect for my parents in their own house and still giving them a second chance, which they failed again, to be respectful. And yes, I do put fault on my brother for those actions as well, and so do my parents. And encouraging him to go to a bar and hanging out with his friends where he is stationed instead of doing nothing and staying in his housing is so bad that you won't let your soon-to-be husband invite his own family to the wedding. Also, me and my grandmother and I, who is also our next door neighbor, have talked to this girl maybe 4 times the whole time that they were together and kept my comments to myself. So I'm not really sure what we did, but fine. My dad told him that it was unfortunate we weren't invited, especially because he told us that he wanted us there. But because he never told us, they have plans for a little vacation and I have to work, so we couldn't go even if he put his foot down on it. Dad told him that he's young and he needs to figure things out for himself, and we know that he won't listen to us since he never did before, and that while we don't want him to marry this girl, it's his decision and it won't stop us from picking up the phone when he calls or having him come home to visit. However, it will not stop the inevitable conversation we all need to have. My family, him, and his soon-to-be wife, if he truly wants to have us in his life, but she wants to exclude us because she feels this way. To this, my brother reluctantly agreed. As of now, my dad and I are over it since we already figured something like this would happen, and my stepmom is very upset, which makes me angry. I love her so much. She's the mom that I never would have thought I could have. Her oldest son also joined the military and eventually faded us out for some reason. I wasn't very close with him since he left when I was like 15 and I barely saw him anyway. So she won't see him getting married or meet his kids if he has them, and now the same thing is starting with Tristan. If and when we hear anything or see him, I may give an update if you would like. I've been angry for 2 days now, and guess what? There is an update. Do you have any quick thoughts?
Let's just all get along. Can't we all just decide to get along?
Get along. My bestie found my post and urged me to update since it has been a while. Unfortunately, there's not much that I can say as of now since we still have not heard from him and he's only posting his usual little memes on his social media. Although we haven't heard from him, we're taking the silence as they are now married and we have moved along with life and will be at the phone if and when he finally does call, since sometimes it's been a few months before he does call, being busy with relocations and all. So when the time comes, as comments have said, I will have my popcorn ready and a moving truck if I have to. My lovely grandma bet me $5 that they won't make it to 6 months, so maybe she will pay for my popcorn when the time comes. Well, that's all for now, and there is an edit. I just would like to address a few questions I have seen in the comments of this update as well as in the original post that I created. In the original post comments, I did relay that per my older stepbrother's absence, it was faded out after him joining the military, which spanned over about 2 years. He was traveling overseas a lot during those years. Unfortunately, as I did state in my original post, I did not know the entire story of my older stepbrother's relationship with my stepmom or other stepbrother, as I lived with my mother and only could visit my dad on the weekends. To my knowledge, there was not any issues, but he was very quiet and reserved, and he was 16 or 17 when they had moved in, so he was not truly around my dad and I for very long. And you can be around us for a very long time, because we've got full episodes with more stories just like this one on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. The main thing of my family not being invited was due to my brother actually telling my stepmom he wanted us there, but his now wife did not, although she does not talk to her own parents, but she invited them. My dad said after I had written my original post that he's pretty sure that the no invite thing was pretty much just for my parents, since me and my grandma have had maybe one full conversation with this girl. Also, he has not gone no contact with my my family, to my knowledge. As I have previously stated, it has happened a few times that we do not hear from him for a few months at a time due to him being in the military. As for my own feelings on this, I am supportive of my brother no matter what he has decided, and as one comment has said on this update, did take over on the little bet my grandma made, especially since it has been a month already. I love my brother very much and know he will continue with his decision for as long as he can. Given his thieving habits that did not break until his senior year of high school, which was like a year or two ago, and that fighting him on it would only make him double down more. And that's the end of that story. Oh my
Not
gosh.
true, man. All you can do in these situations, like I've been told before where it's like, oh my God, you got to talk to so-and-so because they're going to marry so-and-so. And I'm like, what do you want me to say?
Right. Like, what am I
Like,
going to do about it?
He'll be like, you so much. Now I'm totally not going to marry this person. Yeah, right. He's going to go, oh, well, I really wish you didn't say that to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to get married. I guess you don't want to go to the wedding?
Right.
Like, what? Like, come on. Just be happy for people and wish them the best.